Hi, this is Matt Roselle sending his greetings to the reunion in Savannah. Wish I could be there. I'd like to thank Carol and Jack, and Jack's wife Stella, for making it a great occasion. Unfortunately, it's a little snowy up here and I'm not able to make it, but Larry Powell called me and asked me to do a little video, a little presentation. There's my son Ned, you remember him. He's about 16 now, and we're up here shoveling away. We got about 18 inches of snow. But anyway, here's my presentation. I went this summer on a trip with 25 other Holocaust educators. We traveled and retraced the steps of really the 30th Infantry Division. This spring, I have an article coming out, and I just wanted to let you know about it. There will be a advanced copy up for auction tonight, so make sure you bid early and bid often. Here's a picture of Frank, and he's in the article, of course, Frank Towers, and the 30th Infantry Division flag being proudly displayed at our National Holocaust Museum. Well, our trip began in Washington, D.C. at the Holocaust Museum, and then we flew over to Germany. We went to Bergen-Belsen first, and that was a place I really wanted to go to, because that's where this story really begins for a lot of the, people who were actually in it. It's a little awkward doing this slideshow, trying to get the narration right, but basically I've interspersed photographs from 1945, and this is at Belsen, with the photographs that I took this summer in July. Bergen-Belsen began as a Soviet prisoner of war camp, actually a German training field for the Wehrmacht, and then of course as the Holocaust progressed it became a camp for victims of the Holocaust. Here we see some of the teachers and a big huge model layout of the camp. We then begin our tour, and it was a very beautiful place. It was very eerie in a sense, but when you see the 45 photographs, you'll see. Because this is what it looked like when the British liberated it on April 15th, 1945. They had to deal with 60,000 sick and emaciated people. Now the evacuation transports that left a week earlier each had about 2,500 people on it, and of course the train near Magdeburg was liberated by the Americans on April 13th. Very peaceful. And then you look at the 1945 photograph. You probably wouldn't know that this was a major concentration camp. And this was bursting at the seams in the spring of 1945. Today, of course, it's ruins. I'm actually walking down the path next to one of the barracks towards the latrine. This camp was, of course, liberated by the British. And I know you know who these children are. It's Anne Frank and her sister Margot, who probably died about 2 or 3 weeks before liberation. These you'll see, these are mass graves. And of course, this is what it looked like in 1945. Horrible pictures. Very peaceful and serene today. This new building opened in 2007, right about the time we did our first reunion. And again, it's a very peaceful setting. And one of the biggest problems and the biggest destroyers of life at the camp was typhus. The British burnt the camp to the ground about a month after liberation in May 1945. So when you go today, you do have to use your imagination a little bit, but the photographs are always there to remind you. And once inside, it was really exciting to see the photograph in this exhibit, because the exhibit is on the evacuation transports. And this, of course, is the Major Benjamin photograph that has gained an awful lot of attention. There's Bern Horstman, who many of you know, and he greeted me warmly. He gave us a 20-minute educational lecture about how the exhibit unfolded and the importance of our research. He talked about the research he's doing, trying to complete the book of names. And the site of liberation I have indicated here with a green star. I didn't actually get there, but from Bergen-Belsen we took a train directly to Magdeburg and then up north to Berlin. So I covered the route that the soldiers took in 1945, but also the route of the train, maybe the same tracks. This, of course, is, you know what it is. Where am I? That's right, the Reichstag in Berlin. And today, the Reichstag has a clear dome. There are actually people who are walking catwalks up there so that they can see what their legislators are up to. These are Soviet troops in Berlin, probably May 1945. Maybe later, probably later. And you know where that is. That's right, the Brandenburg Gate. U.S. Embassy's right around the corner. We did have lunch there at the embassy. Actually, no, we didn't get lunch. They kicked us out before that. To the north of Berlin, we went to two camps. One was Ravensbrück, which was notorious as a women's camp. All these camps are pretty horrible places. And, you know, like Belsen, some of them don't have much left. But I was very impressed with our German historians at these sites. We're very anxious to keep the memory of the Holocaust in the forefront of people's minds. And this is a beautiful lake, a nice kayak. You see a monument in the background. The dichotomy is very striking because this is where they poured the ashes from the people that they murdered. From there, we went south and we traveled to the Czech Republic. And Prague was beautiful. We were there for 2 nights. And in the Czech Republic, we actually went and toured the city. It's one of the cities that was relatively untouched by the war. And it was one of the last cities that was actually liberated by the Red Army in 1945, I believe, May 8th or so. And consequently, This camp, called Theresienstadt, or Terezin, was the last camp liberated. This is in the Czech Republic, and it's noteworthy for us because this was the destination of the 3 evacuation transports. One of them apparently made it. This is the ghetto at Theresienstadt. When we went to the actual fortress/prison area, of course, the famous sign from 1945. And that's our party entering it this past summer. Conditions were pretty bad. Many of the occupants at Theresienstadt were shipped off to Auschwitz later. From there, we traveled by rail to Poland and Krakow, a very beautiful city. Maybe you remember Ariella Rojic from Toronto. This was where she was from, this area. Krakow was lovely. I went to Mass here at St. Mary's, and this was the archbishopric that Pope John Paul II came from. We went to the Schindler Museum. This is our group, and this is actually in one of his factories near Krakow, toward the Krakow ghetto. And then we went to the sites in Poland. And I'm not going to take you to all the sites today because I don't have time. But I'm going to close out with a couple of shots. And now you know where we are. This is Auschwitz. We did have several Jewish teachers who were traveling with us. This is our group on the last day of the tour before the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising Monument in Poland, in Warsaw. Now, it was a pretty heavy-duty trip, but it wasn't all bad. I met a lot of great friends and had a good time too. I wrote a 26-page narrative, and that's going to go on the auction block tonight. It's full color with all my pictures if you want the rest of the story. Also, The Last Train by Rona Arado. Her husband was Paul Arado, who unfortunately passed away this summer. But this book will be up for auction. And I'll just close out by saying I miss y'all, and I wish I was there. And next year I'll see you at the 70th. Bye-bye.